Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Dragon Slayer: The Legend of Heroes. In the last part, we reached the Kingdom of Norland after freeing Rockburg from the Granite Terror, and now we got two new enemies, Tortoids and Squid Kings. Tortoids got some decently high defense and hit hard, but not a lot to worry about outside of that. Whenever you're in a battle like this, you want to target the Squid Kings, because they have some decent magic on top of the fact they can heal other characters in the battle, if memory serves, or their enemies in the battle, rather. So target them first if you find them. So like I mentioned last time, now that Sonia's joined our party, she starts with the Steel Rod weapon, which is another one of the wand-type weapons that casts spells and use it as a physical attack. In particular, hers fires a Coma Beam, which I believe is the equivalent of a Coma 1 spell, which has like a 1 in 3 chance of killing enemies susceptible to it, and most enemies are. She's going to be holding on to this for a pretty decent chunk of the game, at least like 3 or 4 videos from memory after this. So she's going to have this for a good while, so you don't need to worry about getting an extra weapon for the next little bit. You'll need to buy 3 instead of 4, which is pretty nice. With that said, you might remember a few videos ago I mentioned that there's only like 2 or 3 rods I consider worth using in the game. The Steel Rod and the Healing Rod are the main 2 of those. The Sun Wand, when you find it, can be useful, but sleep isn't the most useful status ailment overall. So now that we have the Steel Rod, basically any other rods you find, just sell them. They're not going to be useful in the long run. Got new enemies here, though. These are Bull Toads. They're pretty tanky, and they can hit decently hard. But that's about it. I don't think they have any special attacks they can do. They're just kind of tanky enemies around here. Whenever you're doing level grinding in this area, and trust me, there's going to be times when you're going to want to, they're probably going to be the thing you're going to want to find. Unlike the Demon Pincers, or Demon Pincers, I think they're misspelled as. Decent defense, and they also have a pretty good chance of parrying your attacks and just escaping damage altogether. Plus, they can also boost their own attack stat. So they are one of the more dangerous enemies around here, but I'd still say they're one that's pretty easy to take out. You might notice, by the way, Sonia joins at a natively lower level than the other characters. This is where you might want to not do as much grinding as I do throughout this LP, because then you could have them join at about equal parity level-wise. But it's not a big deal overall. With that said, welcome to Vonheim. You could go a couple different directions in the Kingdom of Norland to start. I recommend coming over here to hit a certain event flag trigger to make other things happen in other towns.
You should see all the fuss over at the mayor's. Someone special's there, I'm sure. The food they ordered is fit for a king.
Well, damn, I'm hungry. Let's check it out.
You look like royal guards of Darkheim. What are you doing in Vonheim? Who's asking, wise guy? Get out of my face. There's all the noise up there. Sorry, Sir Patrick. Some strangers are annoying us. Oh, me stars! You're the Lord Evan. It's been ages. What you doing here? Where you been all this time? Come in, sirs. The king's errand.
Look, everybody, it's my long-lost little brother, Evan.
Don't be so formal. And what are you doing here?
My castle's invaded. I went to Port Nords, but I was stopped short by beasts there, too. My only chance to get into Windgard was gone. I didn't know where to turn. I went east, but the tunnel to Sordis was blocked by cave-ins. My last choice was to find shelter here at Mayor Lougheed's.
Magnus, my brother, don't you ever stand and fight? Would you desert your native land, your people?
Who cares about a country full of monsters? And raiders stole a bunch of gems and keys from my castle. If I could only get into Windgard. I have all this money, so I'm sure they take me. A king's safety is the first priority.
What kind of king is that? A king's job is to care for his subjects and make his land a place to be proud of.
Ethan preaches about lofty ideals, human dignity, and the honor of kings. Evan, you should write my speeches. But perhaps what you say is true. I had to help Norland. So I'm sending you on a royal mission. To Port Nords in Darkheim, cleanse them of evil. This guy's too much. Hey, Ethan! You got royal blood in your veins. How come you didn't say something?
I didn't see any reason to bring it up.
So to be a big shot, who cares? Sonia, which royal family do you belong to?
Always the joker, eh, Giles? Do I look like a princess?
I mean, you got the green hair. I would go with some in a lot of anime at the time, Sonia, so, eh? Get used to traveling back to Vonheim, by the way. We have to do that a couple times throughout this chapter. Mind you, it's like backtracking is the name of the game in this game. It's not like the towns already don't look enough alike, let alone the caves. In fact, this game's tile set's honestly pretty small, things considered. If anything, the soundtrack being as in-depth as it is kind of impressive. Even if you do hear the first few notes of the battle theme perhaps a bit too often. But now we're back at Red Pier because we want to go north around the mountains this time to access some more areas in this kingdom. And when you're going this way, you're probably going to run into some more new enemies, if memory serves. Or maybe I did just run into Squid Kings and Demon Pincers. Huh. Ah, there they are. We got two enemies here. The Evil Elves, which like to cast some debuffing magic in your party, namely Leech, from memory, to make the Swamp Brutes stronger by proxy, because I think you only run into them with these enemies. And these Swamp Brutes can hit pretty hard, and they throw venom-inflicting mud on you. I'm not sure what the relative strength of their Venom spell is, like if it's like a Venom 2 or 3. That mostly matters once you start getting to like a Venom 4, which starts killing like a turn or two sooner. But not a lot to worry about. There are other enemies to worry about in this region. And I forget if I run into them. In fact, let me check my notes, because I did note down which enemies I ran into in every single part. Oh, yeah, there's some in this very region. But they're not the Stormclaws. The Stormclaws do hit pretty hard. And I think they even cast some shock magic here and there. But especially if you have the Steel Rod, you're getting lucky. Not a lot to worry about. Some of the hardest enemies in the game are very easily taken down by the Steel Rod, as long as you get lucky. The getting lucky is the important thing. But again, if you're running low on HP, just run from the battle and try again, maybe after doing some healing. Get some good experience points around here, too. Though, admittedly, this game's experience curve is a little weird in that basically universally throughout the game, it feels like enemies give too little experience for how much experience later levels start to need. It's like some RPGs, you get a level like every 20 battles, just about, as like the average. In this game, sometimes it takes upwards of 40, and it just feels very annoying for that. Alright, let's check out Port Nors like Magnus told us to. Hey, where are you guys going? Oh, that's more Stormclaws.
It's Sir Evan, the Lost Prince. Make haste, sir. We must sail now to escape the hordes. The booming noise is from the Crushers swarming at the Sacred Court across town. Anyone what goes there risks being fried alive. If the thunder don't get you, the lightning will. But those things are getting off on it. I think I'll head off to see Samantha, the Dragon Priestess, and ask her what to do. Now get aboard.
The Priestess, of course. She'll know what's happening.
Graham, you stay in the ship. We'll go talk to Samantha.
Prince Evan. That saves my old hide. The trip's deadly. Samantha's wise of the ways of the Seeker, and knows dragon mysteries. We'll count on you to learn the truth.
Ethan, who's this Priestess Samantha?
She's the ancient spell user who leads the Dragon Festival of Norland every year. During the festival, Samantha uses mysterious magic to enter a dragon pod. When inside, she communes with the Seeker and receives omens. She lives in the eastern part of Norland. Let's go find her.
Alright, I think you can access the court they talked about and fight some special enemies over there that are kind of hard to beat, but it's not worth the time to go all the way over there. So instead we're going to head on towards Samantha and fight some Tarantuses in the process. They aren't much to write home about. Not too much HP. It's kind of beefy defense, but they don't exactly hit hard. They can use Waste 2, which isn't even that big of a threat, because Waste 2 doesn't drain enough HP into their own to really warrant being fearful of. The big enemies you actually want to be careful of are the ones near Samantha's house. And to get to Samantha's house, we want to head back the way we came to get to Port Nors, but we want to take a break to the right after we go south through the mountains. Here's the enemies around you want to be careful of. Parasites and Horn Vipers. From memory, Parasites can inflict some status ailment on you. I want to say it was like Confusion or something. I know there's even a couple enemies I've ignored so far that can inflict that on you, I believe, by this point. And Horn Vipers are just kind of hard to hit and have some pretty decent attack. The scariest enemies in Norland, though, are the ones near Samantha's house, as they just have some pretty high physical attack, period. And I forget if we see any of the new enemies there along the way. Because here we are at Skyhaven. This is Samantha's place. Are you the Dragon Priestess, Samantha? I have bad news. There are monsters gathering at the Sacred Court. I must find out why so we can drive them away from there.
What's that, you say? Monsters around the sacred courts. Dreadful! That place is a holy site made by the Seeker, the guiding light of all Istranasa. Huge power pours into the world through the stone set there. This power protects us from nausea chaos. And if monsters are gathering there, then I bet they're stealing the power to gain super energy. With that energy, the doom of chaos may engulf us. We must act soon. If I could enter a dragon pod, I could ask the Seeker to stop sending power. That would shut down the sacred court. What do you mean, if I could enter? Don't you get omens when you're inside a pod during the Dragon Festival? It's true that I can enter dragon pods during the festival. But can we really afford to wait so long? But please, why can't you get in now? Well, I suppose I can tell you the truth. I can't enter any pods without using a special gem called the Seeker Heart. But that rat Liston took it from me when I couldn't pay his taxes. If I had the Seeker Heart in my hands, I could enter the dragon pod. I've heard enough. We'll talk to this Liston fellow. Where does the man spend his time? The Count usually works in Darkheim, but after the castle was occupied, he moved to Levy. I guess we're going there next. Oh my, you heard from Battles, let me help you. Notably, Samantha here herself is a free in as well. She uses the Cure 6 spell, which is beyond anything we can learn in this game. So now we need to head to Levy, the only other town we haven't been to here in Norland. It's all the way up here to the northeast. Not too hard to find. I do like how this game's world is built out of smaller subsections like this, because it leads to enough exploration that you can find new things in towns, but not enough that you can just go way out of your field of level. And by the looks, apparently taxes here really are high if Samantha got hit by them as well as these people. You folks ain't from Norland, I can tell. Look around my house a bit. There's nothing left. Want to know why? It's that Count and his taxes. Took everything I owned. Now, it's not often this gets brought up in RPGs from memory. So I guess let's go see what's going on with Liston up here. We can put you back to work if you want to pay off back tax. No, I'm good. Do you know about dragon pods? If you value life, you'll steer clear of them because they'll anger Naja Dragon. That's why monsters invaded Norland. It's all happening because someone upset the Naja Dragon. Better ask Samantha about it. What's a dragon pod in depth? Again, they don't go into this game. Once each year, the Dragon Priestess goes inside a dragon pod and receives sacred messages from the Dragon King. It's a special time. Sounds like it. Have you bleary-eyed people ever met Samantha? She's the Dragon Priestess that lives south of here. With the Seeker's blessing, she can walk near the sacred court in perfect safety. From memory, I think they bring up Samantha here a lot because if you didn't talk to her, you wouldn't be able to actually enter the little mansion portion of this particular map. Which means you wouldn't be able to go talk to the Count and all that jazz, so you'd be kind of out of luck. Make sure you bow before you talk to Count Liston. Watch what you say, that's Lord Hans, the Royal Prince. Oh, another one? People, it's no use begging, the taxes are ours now. Wait, you're Prince Evan? Indeed, Liston, we meet again. What were you saying? That is nothing. I said nothing, my lord. Sure. If it isn't my brother Hans. Holy smokes, Evan! What are you doing here in Levy? I should ask you that. This mansion is fit for a king. But they tell me the taxes are so high, citizens are ruined. What's this? I had no idea. Count Liston, you ought to be ashamed. Explain yourself. But Hans, you said that's enough. Quit your whining, Liston. You'll have to return it all. Get going. You two, come along. Yes, sir. What a bum. It's so hard to get good help. Stow it, big brother. I understand, fine. Even with all these taxes, Norland's a mess. Where's all the money, eh? You and Liston are in cahoots. A greedy prince is the worst kind of bum. While you've been getting rich and living it up, the people starve. Ethan goes on and on about justice and the role of the monarchy. So, Hans, surely you can see the evil of your ways. Evan, what can I say? I'll give away all my property to the citizens of Norland. But the real mess is these monsters. They're wrecking the whole kingdom. Yeah, that seems to be a trend throughout the entire game, in almost an annoying fashion. Before we go on, though, make sure you actually go talk to the sage that's in this mansion to learn some new magic. In particular, this guy has the level 3 elemental magic, Waste 2, and Psycho 2, so hey, you can get some more HP from enemies or especially drain more MP. Psycho 2, I think Sonia had by default,
but in case you want to have that on anyone else you have as a spellcaster, it might be good to have. Sonia herself already has, I believe, the level 3 elemental magic, so it's more just to upgrade everyone else, but still, it's probably a good thing to have around. Now that we've handled that whole tax situation, all things considered, very quickly, we can now also do stuff here in the town of Levy itself, namely buy stuff from its shops, because that's another thing this game likes to do almost every other town, it feels like. You can't actually buy anything at their shops until you've resolved some plot element there. In particular, we want to come here to the store and buy a full set of the steel armors, because that's better than the iron stuff we have on at the moment. I don't recommend buying steel plates or swords, because you're going to find better stuff relatively soon anyway. I have done a playthrough where I bought an extra steel rod and just put that on Logan and had him try to use that alongside Sonia. And it's an okay strategy. I just recommend having the one on Sonia overall, though, because you'll probably get more damage out of Logan with anything else. It is interesting, though. Going back to stats, and I know I try to show off my stats whenever I do grinding. Logan might start the game off relatively weak compared to Ethan, but he really does catch up pretty quickly. With that said, let's hope solving the thing here in Levy got the Seeker Heart back to Samantha, so let's check in with her.
Oh my, you heard from Battles. Let me help you. One of Listen's men brought back the Seeker Hearts. You sweethearts have done it. Let's go together to a dragon pod. Wait a minute, Samantha. Do you know how dangerous the countryside around here is? I fear for your life. Come now, Evan. I'm the dragon priestess after all. I have many powers.
Apparently one of those is having warp too. I mean, hell yeah, I'll take that.
A loud hum fills the air. Sir Evan, I'm going in now. Stay close. Once inside the pond, no one must speak until the Seeker hears me. All right, let's go.
Perfect calm fills the vaulted chamber.
Sir Evan, I have the Seeker's message. The Sacred Court has lost its power source. The monsters are abandoning it. Are you ready, dearies? We have to leave now.
Once again, Samantha utters the Warp 2 spell. I'm assuming we go back to one of those at some point in the sequel. And we're just kind of good to go.
Sir Evan, my dear, I must demand a favor. It's very important that keep your lips sealed about the Sacred Heart, or how I have the power to enter the dragon pods. The pods are sacred to the Seeker, and if people find out that they can enter using the heart, who knows who will try. Such foolishness would surely anger the Seeker, and thus destroy the world. Never forget what I said.
Okay. So now we can actually head back to Vonheim and hopefully tell the king that you can just head back. Where's the king?
Lord Evan, oh, it's a bleeding disaster. King Magnus has been taken by vicious brutes demanding Doom's Eye for ransom. The eye is a royal heirloom locked up in the royal tombs. You must have the Sun Key to unlock the tombs. But the key's lost. I fear it's hopeless to continue. I cannot face it. I remember the Sun Key. It's made of glass and has a huge red gem set in it, the Sunstone. We have to find that key. Aye, but the key was stolen from Darkheim by a raider party. That was even before the beasts invaded.
Raiders, eh? And then we don't need to look far. Sounds like the work of a pirate captain. If Morgan wasn't involved, I have a hunch he'd know who was.
That's right, Giles. Come on, we've got to sail for Skull Rock.
Now, you can just head to Skull Rock right now and progress with plot, but to make things easier for the long term, I recommend going somewhere else first. We want to head back to Port Nors now that the monsters have cleared out. Because even though there's not a cutscene directly dedicated to it, the people are just back here now. But also, notably, along the way over here, I got a very rare item known as a Hyper 660. This is a item you can only use in your party members from memory, and what it does, it changes their HP, max, and current to 660. So in the case you still have a character like Sonia below that, I mean, hey, it's a free minor HP upgrade, but it is definitely kind of a weird item, because you can't use it on enemies to my knowledge, so it's not like you can just make an enemy's HP lower. But it's there. There's a couple of weird items like that in the game, honestly. The main two reasons we're coming here, though, are for magic and equipment. You can get some of the level 2 status magic here. Chaos, by the way, is a confusion spell. I think level 2 status magic works 50% of the time as opposed to 1/3 of the time. and level 3 is like 66 to 75%, somewhere around there. But the main spell I want to get is Warp 2, which works like a Warp Wing. It allows you to return to any prior location you visited in the game. It can be a town, it can be a dungeon, it can be one of those little houses, anywhere. And we can now upgrade to the Doom equipment. I don't recommend the Doom Rod, but the Doom Spear and Doom Plate are very good. This is why I recommended not getting a steel plate back at the last town. We want to get 4 of those, 1 for everyone. And I also want to have some money after this, because you might notice I'm getting kind of low, because we're about to hit another level grinding segment. I go to about level 28. I could recommend 29 or above if you're super into grinding. I would recommend just stopping once you get around 100,000 gold in stock, because you're going to use most of that in the next area anyway. The rappel robe at that shop, if memory serves, is the first robe-type equipment we've seen. Robes are interesting in that what they do is that it makes your defense command have a secondary effect, but they basically have no defense, making them useless to me in the long run. Like, I believe the rappel robe makes your defense command work like the repel spell, and that it can reflect spells back at the enemy, which out of all the robes, if I have that right about that one at least, can make it the most useful of them, but they're just not worth it. Holy crow, it's Prince Evan. We just got in. The lightning critters left and got our fleet back too. I hope Carlos gets a few red gills today. Holy crow.
Look who is here. It's Prince Evan. Gee whiz, me and my buddies are fishing again since the taxman brought our boats back. Life sure is great.
So I guess the Count has power all the way over here, closer to the castle, which is a little weird. But no, now that I think about it, Liston was supposed to leave from Darkheim anyway, so no, this actually makes sense. I do really appreciate that this game updates the dialogue as often as it does, and I know that became just a thing for the franchise as it went, but even for something that came out this early in console and PC RPGs, it's nice to see. So here's me showing off my stats before the grinding, because after I leave the town, we're going to be jumping over to Red Pier post-grinding. Everyone's a decent chunk stronger, and as you can see, me putting as many points into strength as early as I did through manual point applications, really making my HP have some good dividends in it. If you didn't put points into strength manually early on, you'd probably be closer to around 2,000 HP now, I want to say, if even. So now we can just head over to Skull Rock, and hopefully Morgan cooperates.
Giles, old buddy, you're looking good.
You too. Tell me, you ever raided Darkheim?
Naturally. I love to steal from that fat King Magnus. We hit Darkheim a while back. I got some great gems. There were some useless keys too, but I tossed those off my ship.
You what? Ah! Ethan freaks out and begins to choke Captain Morgan. Ethan, lay off! Calm down, Ethan. Logan and Giles pull Ethan off the captain, just as he starts turning blue.
Okay, but this big oaf drives me nuts.
Morgan, old boy, tell us where you dropped those keys.
It was offshore by Port North.
I guess we should probably check over there then. And we will, but first we want to head not over to Port Nors, but to Red Pier to directly implicate who we need to talk to at Port Nors, even though there's not too many people at Port Nors to talk to anyway. Might as well just sort of give a logic to the reasoning. I'm pleased this punch to be fishing again. Not much to catch about here, but I've been to Port Nors, netting red gill. Saw one my buddy Carlos got, a huge sucker. Never saw one so big. Must have been a heap of coins in it, because its stomach was swollen up huge-like. Hey, it could have been a gold bar. Those red gills are strange, you know. If I had gone up a bit early there, maybe I would have caught that sucker. Dang it. Alright, now we can head over to Port Nors and talk to Carlos, who we actually talked to just a few moments ago. How he managed to catch that fish that quickly, I don't know. The time span of this game is very unclear just because of its mechanics.
Looky who's here, it's Prince Evan.
Listen to this. I was deep sea fishing and I caught a huge red gill. The dang thing swallowed coins and stuff, but this one was the best. It had 6 gold pieces and a silver spoon. Oh yeah, and this glass key too.
Really? Could it be the sun key? Let me see.
Well, okay, have a look-see.
By the Seeker, it is the sun key. We've found it. Carlos, this key belongs to the royal family. I need it.
Well, hang on a sec here.
It's always been the law that the man that catches a red gil keeps the loot. Besides which, how do I know that this key is yours? It ain't got no writing on it or nothing. I can't just part with it like that, or I'll get bad luck.
Oh, brother. Okay, the sun key is inlaid with a big red gem called the Sunstone. Didn't this key have a gem?
Well, just look. No gem, and there wasn't one before neither. See here, Prince Evan. I can tell you like this key. But if I let it go, I'll be cursed and never catch a red gil again, ever. You gotta get some proof that this really is your whatchamacallit.
The Royal Norland crest is engraved on the Sunstone. If we reset the gem in the key, that will be the proof. And now we need to find that gem. Well, geez, if we think back, have we seen anyone recently who supposedly has a gem collection? If you talk to that NPC in Skull Rock, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we need to head back there and talk to Morgan again. Getting Warp 2 is the main reason I went over to Port Nors afterwards, because it just makes this entire section get a lot smoother.
Shiver me timbers, it's Giles.
Morgan, you didn't tell us everything about the key.
What's that? I don't know what you mean.
How about the gem?
Don't ask me. I'll look after your stupid gems.
You old dog, you must have pried the Sunstone out.
I don't know what you mean, I tell ya. If you don't like it, you can go walk a plank.
Well, I guess that got us absolutely nowhere, so I guess we'll just leave then. Great.
Whap, buff. That's just to show you I still got what it takes to be a boss around here.
Morgan, buddy, beating your shipmates is not going to instill the loyalty you think it might. The captain said we can't play games anymore. See the injured man over there? Morgan hit him. It was bad. Captain Morgan's all out of medicine, so he blows his top real easy. We gotta tiptoe around because we don't want to anger him. So I guess let's talk to the guy he hit. You guys, oh, you sure made Captain Morgan mad. He belted me because he ran out of his art medicine. I hurt all over. Life's not fair. Oh, you poor man. We didn't know. He's just a bully. Sonia turns on her charm and speaks kindly to the sailor.
But don't sweat it, it wasn't your fault. Move a bit closer, I'll tell you a little secret.
Morgan says he's not afraid of anyone, but that isn't true. His mom has him under her thumb. You should see him run when old Helga's around. Really? What else can you tell me? Helga used to be the captain of the crew. She ran such a tight ship that we called her Helga the Horrible. 10 years back, she left, lives in the hut north of Onheim. Thanks. Get well quick, okay? Well, I guess we might... It's kind of a weird sentence to say, but let's go tell this pirate captain on his mom. Because, I guess being a little tattletale has its benefits here and there. And you could have easily found this house even earlier. There's just not much you'd be able to do there. Just need to head over here to Heartwood. Welcome to Helga's house.
You're strangers.
And you must be Helga.
A good guess. What's your business with me?
I'd like a word with you about a man called Morgan.
Captain Morgan? What's that lazy son of mine been up to this time?
Prince Logan tells Helga about the Sun Key and Carlos.
Well, aren't you in a fix? I'm happy to hear he stole from the castle. That's good pirating. And I don't give a hoot for your gem. But if he ain't gonna hand it over, he ought to say so. A lion captain should be keel-hauled. So I'll talk to him, but you better not expect an old lady to walk.
But how else?
Have you heard of the Warp Wing? It can wing ye to any place you ever been. So you just run along and get one. Then we'll see about your precious gem.
So you do need to have a warp wing in your inventory to actually progress in the story. Thankfully, by this point, if you've been to Port Nors, you have Warp 2, so it's pretty easy to get back to Rockburg and just buy one here. Otherwise, you'd need to know to buy one ahead of time, which I probably should have mentioned back then because you would have all the inventory space you need by this point anyway. But again, you have Warp 2, not much of a reason to complain. So we just need to head back to Heartwood, as soon as I remember which is the place I actually need to go. I do wish some of these places had more distinct names, admittedly. Alright, Helga, we got you your thing.
Do you have a warp wing yet?
I do. Is this it?
Oh my, yes. Hand it over to Granny.
And now we're good to just follow her over there.
kind of weird we can't just use Warp 2 to bring her over here as well now that I think about it, but I guess it might have a limit of 4 people. Maybe.
Morgan! How many times have I got to tell ye? A lying pirate is nothing but a thief.
I'm sorry, Ma. I'm sorry.
I guess that was effective. Let's go talk to them and see if that actually did anything. And I always forget, they're not up here at the gem collection. They're in, I guess it's meant to be the captain's quarters here on the bottom left of the area.
You traitors, you'll pay. Ah! I showed him. Will he never learn? Go on, Morgan, get him what they want. Some kind of gem, isn't it? He's got enough of them. But Ma, don't be smart with me, Pipsqueak.
Helga raises her hand as she speaks.
Shiver me timbers, I'm going. Hurry it up, you old slowboat. Ma, I have it. The Sunstone. It's a beauty. So here you go.
You got a lot of nerve, kitty. Ah, me mom.
Morgan's face turns bright red and he wheezes heavily. Seeker, is he okay? Hey, Morgan.
Don't make a fuss over him. He's always faking. Just when things don't go his way.
But he looks really sick.
Don't start anything you can't stop, honey. As for you, my boy, get some rest.
I guess that heart condition might be acting up. I kind of feel a little bad now, honestly. Now, while we have the Sunstone now and we can go get the Sun Key, I'm actually going to take a detour to go to a dungeon northeast of Samantha's house to start off the next part. Also, I needed to rest because I gave Sonia Warp 2 just because she has the most MP. Everyone else can only use it twice. She can use it like 6-7 times in a row. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 6, we're starting off by raiding the tombs of Norland. See you guys then.